There is one silent force that shapes the direction of your life, one inner quality that cannot be bought, borrowed, or imitated. It is not given to you by others, nor does it depend on what the world thinks of you. It is something that must arise from within, and that is self-confidence. But understand this clearly: self-confidence is not arrogance, it is not noise, it is not about proving something to the world. True confidence is stillness that doesn't waver, even in chaos. It is the ability to stand firm when doubt whispers in your ear. It is the quiet trust that says, no matter what happens around me, I remain centered, capable, and grounded. Many people look outside for validation, for permission, for praise. They wait for someone to tell them, now you are ready. But the path of mastery, whether in martial arts, in life, or in the mind, requires a shift. A shift from seeking approval to earning inner certainty, from hesitation to intention, from fear to presence. In the ancient training halls, we were taught, the strongest weapon you will ever carry is belief in yourself, not belief based on ego, but belief born from effort, awareness, and discipline. So today, I invite you to pause, to reflect, and to remember, the person you are becoming depends not on the world around you, but on the strength you choose to cultivate within. Self-confidence does not appear overnight, nor is it something you stumble upon by accident. It is a deliberate construction, built slowly, intentionally, with awareness. From the moment we wake up in the morning, we are given the opportunity to either strengthen this inner foundation or allow it to weaken. Every thought, every action, every decision either nourishes your inner strength or feeds your doubt. And the truth is, the world outside will always test you. It will always give you reasons to feel uncertain, to question your worth, to shrink yourself in fear of judgment or failure. But the one thing you have control over is your response, your internal state, the relationship you build with yourself. Confidence begins in the silence of the mind. When you wake up and no one is watching, no one is clapping, and there is no reward, how you speak to yourself in that moment determines more than any external feedback ever could. It is the practice of showing up for yourself, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Most people believe that confidence comes after success, but the wise understand, success is the result of confidence. You do not wait to feel strong. You train to become strong. You move forward before the path is clear, and your movement creates the clarity. This inner belief is not built through comfort, but through challenge, through the willingness to meet discomfort and remain present within it. A martial artist trains not to become better than others, but to become better than yesterday's self. When the muscles ache, when the body is exhausted, when the mind says, stop, that is where confidence is born. Because each time you go beyond your limitations, you prove something to yourself, and that proof is not theoretical, it is real. It lives in your breath, your body, your presence, and you carry that proof with you silently wherever you go. Confidence is also a matter of alignment. Alignment between your thoughts, your words, and your actions. When you say you will do something, and you do it, trust is formed. When you make promises to yourself and keep them, your mind begins to believe you. This is how you earn your own respect. Without this respect, you will forever chase approval from the outside world, and it will never be enough. But when your internal compass is steady, you stop needing external validation. You become self-led. This is the root of unshakable confidence. Another key is presence. Often, fear and doubt arise not from the moment we are in, but from the projections we create about what may come. The mind leaps forward, imagining failure, rejection, or embarrassment, and in doing so, it pulls us away from the now, where real power lies. To build confidence, one must return again and again to the present moment. Breathe, observe, act with intention. Let the mind rest in the simplicity of the task at hand. Confidence grows when you stop fighting shadows and start facing reality with calm and clarity. Comparison is another enemy of confidence. When you measure your worth against others, you will always find someone stronger, smarter, more skilled. But confidence is not about being better than others. It is about being fully expressed in your own nature. Just as a bamboo tree does not envy the oak, and the river does not wish to be the mountain, you must recognize your unique path, your timing, your journey, your gifts. They are not meant to be duplicates of someone else's. True confidence is the ability to walk your path with dignity, not distraction, and yet confidence also requires humility. It is not pride, nor is it the denial of weakness. It is the mature awareness that you are capable and also still learning, that you can be strong and still make mistakes, that you are valuable even if you are not perfect. Confidence does not shout. It does not need to convince. It simply is. It arises from a deep-rooted understanding that who you are as you are is enough to meet the moment. And from that foundation you grow, not from desperation, but from dedication. The journey of confidence begins with self-awareness. It begins when you turn inward, not to judge yourself, but to understand yourself, to study your patterns, your fears, your inner dialogue. This is the same discipline taught in ancient temples. Know yourself. If you do not know what triggers your fear, how can you master it? If you do not see where you abandon yourself, how can you expect others to respect you? Confidence is not given, it is reclaimed, piece by piece, step by step, through the discipline of being fully awake to who you are and who you choose to become, the foundation of self. Confidence is deeply rooted in self-discipline. Without the ability to guide yourself, to hold yourself to a higher standard even when no one is watching, confidence becomes an illusion, a mask rather than a state of being. Self-discipline is the quiet force that molds your character in the moments when it's easier to quit, when it's tempting to take the comfortable path, when distractions scream louder than purpose. Every time you resist the urge to betray your values for temporary ease, you earn something invaluable. You gain trust in yourself, and that trust is the soil in which true confidence takes root. Many people look outward for motivation. They wait to feel inspired, to feel ready, to feel courageous. But those who walk the path of mastery know that waiting is a trap. The feeling comes after the action. You act despite fear. You move even when motivation is absent. You show up when it would be simpler not to. And that consistency, that commitment to action over emotion, gradually builds the kind of self-confidence that does not depend on moods, circumstances, or applause. Discipline gives birth to certainty, not the loud, arrogant kind, but the quiet knowing that you will keep your word to yourself no matter how you feel. This is where many fall short. They rely on fleeting bursts of excitement to push them forward. But when the spark fades, so does their effort. Confidence cannot survive in a mind that negotiates its discipline. It cannot grow in an environment where your word to yourself is easily broken. Just as a warrior trains not for the moments of peace, but for the moments of chaos, self-discipline prepares you to remain steady when life becomes uncertain. And when you realize you can depend on yourself in those moments, an inner strength begins to rise. That strength is confidence forged through the fire of deliberate choice. Self-discipline is also the art of choosing long-term gain over short-term comfort. It is the ability to look beyond immediate gratification and commit to something deeper, something that requires endurance. Whether it is waking early to train your body, dedicating quiet hours to learning, or resisting impulses that derail your growth, each decision is a message you send to your mind. I am in control. I decide. I lead, and with every repetition of that message, your identity begins to shift. You no longer see yourself as someone who wishes or hopes. You become someone who acts regardless of difficulty. The mind is like a garden. Without discipline, it becomes overrun by weeds, doubt, distraction, laziness. But when you consistently tend to it, when you prune away the negative and cultivate the empowering, it becomes a place of strength and clarity. This internal order, this mental cleanliness, becomes visible in your speech, your posture, your decisions. You no longer need to announce your confidence. It is expressed naturally, like a calm flame that never flickers in the wind. And that expression is not temporary. It does not depend on the outcome of a single event, because it was not built on one. It was built on the repetition of thousands of disciplined moments stacked over time. True self-confidence also requires you to face the parts of yourself that are weak or undeveloped, not with shame, but with responsibility. It is easy to hide from your shortcomings. It is easy to distract yourself from the work that needs to be done. But real growth happens when you have the courage to look at your life honestly and say, "This must change." Discipline gives you the tools to do more than acknowledge your flaws. It allows you to transform them. You do not avoid the hard conversations. You do not run from the discomfort of growth. You stand in it. You breathe in it. You endure it. And through that process, you come out stronger, clearer, more confident. Another essential aspect of discipline is intention. It is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters with full presence. Many people are busy but not effective. They fill their time with noise, with motion, with activity that lacks direction. But when your actions are intentional, when every movement is connected to your purpose, discipline becomes less of a burden and more of a path. You no longer resist it, you embrace it because it aligns you with who you want to become. And when your actions align with your vision, you feel powerful, not in a loud or boastful way, but in a grounded, certain way. That is the quiet confidence of someone who lives with discipline. In the end, discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you could be. It is the practice of meeting resistance with will, of choosing growth over ease, of building something within that cannot be shaken by failure, doubt, or fear. When you are disciplined, your confidence is no longer conditional. It does not rise and fall with praise or criticism. It simply remains like the steady rhythm of a heartbeat, reminding you that you are capable, you are committed, and you are in control. Self-confidence is deeply connected to the stories we tell ourselves. These inner narratives shape the way we see the world, the way we approach challenges, and the way we interpret success and failure. Often, we are not even aware of how many of our thoughts are colored by limiting beliefs that we have inherited or absorbed over time. Beliefs like "I'm not good enough," "I always mess things up," or "I'm not like those successful people" quietly take root in the background of our mind and begin to define how we move through life. These stories become mental walls, restricting our potential and blocking us from taking bold steps. Confidence, therefore, begins not with external achievements, but with an inner examination. It begins when we question the narratives we've been carrying and start rewriting them with intention. The words we speak to ourselves are powerful. If repeated often enough, they become truth, regardless of whether they are based in reality. When you constantly tell yourself that you're not capable, your brain begins to seek evidence to support that claim. You start noticing your flaws, amplifying your failures, and ignoring your strengths. This mental filter shapes your perception and influences your behavior. But the moment you begin to challenge that narrative, to replace it with words of strength, clarity, and purpose, something inside you begins to shift. You start to recognize your progress. You start to feel more in control. You begin to move with more certainty. This transformation is not instant, but it is powerful. It begins with awareness and is strengthened through repetition and practice. Self-confidence is not a denial of fear. It is a new relationship with fear. Fear often speaks in the language of limitation. It tells you to wait, to hold back, to avoid failure at all costs. But fear loses its grip when you no longer obey its every command. Confidence is what allows you to acknowledge fear, but not be ruled by it. You see it, you understand it, and still you act. That willingness to act in the presence of fear builds resilience. And each time you do it, even in small ways, you rewire your nervous system. You prove to your body and mind that fear is not the end. It is simply a gate you walk through, and each time you walk through it, the story of who you are begins to change. Confidence also grows through preparation. When you invest time in learning, in practicing, in refining your craft, you create a solid foundation within yourself. You no longer need to bluff your way through situations because you have done the work. You have faced the resistance, sharpened your skills, and prepared for the challenge, and that preparation becomes a quiet voice within you that says, "I am ready." It is not arrogance. It is not false pride. It is grounded belief in your capability, formed by your willingness to show up consistently and put in the effort. Without preparation, even the most talented individual will crumble under pressure. But with preparation, even the seemingly average can rise to extraordinary levels of confidence and performance. Another essential part of building confidence is embracing failure as a teacher rather than an enemy. Many people hesitate to move forward because they fear making mistakes, but mistakes are not signs of weakness. They are signs of growth. They are proof that you are stepping outside your comfort zone, taking risks, and trying to expand your abilities. Each failure holds within it a lesson, a message that can either fuel your doubt or strengthen your wisdom. The difference lies in how you respond. Do you retreat, or do you reflect and return stronger? Confidence grows when you give yourself permission to fail, to learn, and to improve without harsh self-judgment. It is through this process that you begin to build an identity that is not fragile, but flexible and enduring. The people you surround yourself with also influence your internal narrative. If you are constantly in the presence of those who doubt you, mock your ambitions, or remind you of your past mistakes, your confidence will be undermined. But when you place yourself in environments where growth is encouraged, where failure is seen as part of the journey, and where others believe in your potential even when you hesitate, your mindset begins to shift. Supportive communities, mentors, and positive influences act as mirrors, reflecting back to you the strength that you sometimes forget you have. These reflections are not meant to replace your inner voice, but to help you strengthen it, to remind you of what you are capable of until you can clearly see it for yourself. Visualization is another powerful tool in shaping confidence. The mind does not always distinguish between real and vividly imagined experiences. When you consistently visualize yourself succeeding, staying calm under pressure, or speaking with conviction, your brain begins to accept these images as familiar. And the next time you face a similar situation, instead of panic, you experience a sense of déjà vu, a quiet reminder that you've been here before in your mind, and now you simply need to follow through. Over time, this mental rehearsal builds familiarity, and familiarity breeds confidence. By imagining success, you prepare your body and mind to welcome it instead of fear it. Ultimately, confidence is the result of inner alignment. When your thoughts support your actions, when your intentions are backed by discipline, and when your inner voice becomes a source of strength rather than sabotage, you begin to live from a place of internal power. You are no longer performing for the approval of others. You are expressing your truth, grounded in the deep understanding of your worth and capability. This internal power cannot be faked or forced. It must be cultivated with awareness, commitment, and compassion for your own journey. Self-confidence flourishes in the presence of authenticity. When a person begins to live in alignment with who they truly are, without the masks they wear to impress others or the roles they play to fit into society's expectations, something powerful begins to unfold within them. Confidence in its purest form is not about appearing strong to the world. It is about being strong in your truth. It is about accepting who you are, embracing your individuality, and showing up with integrity in every situation. Most people struggle with confidence not because they lack ability, but because they are disconnected from their true self. They constantly compare, imitate, and adjust themselves to meet imagined standards, slowly losing the clarity of their own identity. But when you strip away the noise and return to your core, a natural sense of confidence emerges, not loud, not boastful, but steady and undeniable. Authenticity requires courage. It demands that you stop pretending. It asks you to speak when silence feels safer, to stand your ground when conformity feels easier, and to pursue your path even when it's different from the crowd. This is not easy, because the world often rewards imitation. But imitation, no matter how perfect, always feels hollow. Confidence cannot grow in a life that is not yours. When your actions are aligned with your values and your choices reflect your inner voice rather than outside pressure, your confidence becomes rooted in something unshakable. It no longer depends on what others think, because it comes from the deepest part of your being. Living authentically also means being honest about your strengths and your weaknesses. It means recognizing the areas where you shine, without minimizing them out of humility or fear of judgment. It means allowing yourself to own your brilliance without arrogance and to acknowledge your flaws without shame. This balance between confidence and humility is what gives depth to your presence. You are not pretending to be more than you are, and you are not hiding what you truly are. In that space of honesty, growth becomes possible because you are no longer resisting reality, you are embracing it, and from that acceptance, transformation begins. Self-confidence is not about being perfect. It is about being present. When you are truly present with yourself, with others, and with the moment you're in, you radiate authenticity. People sense it, they feel it in your energy, your words, your demeanor. There is a calmness in your being that does not need to prove anything. You are simply there, fully engaged, fully alive. This kind of presence cannot be faked. It is cultivated through a deep commitment to self-awareness. It comes from years of watching your thoughts, questioning your motives, and learning to respond rather than react. It is the result of inner stillness, the quiet knowing that you do not need to perform for love, respect, or recognition. Confidence also grows when you make peace with your past. Many people carry the weight of past mistakes, regrets, or rejections, and allow those memories to define their self-worth. But the past does not have the authority to decide your value. It only holds the power you give it. When you begin to look at your past with compassion rather than judgment, you release yourself from the prison of guilt and shame. You begin to see your past not as a burden, but as a teacher. Each experience, no matter how painful, contributed to the person you are becoming, and the more you integrate those lessons without resentment, the stronger your foundation becomes. This inner reconciliation allows confidence to emerge, because you are no longer fragmented by unresolved pain. You are whole. Confidence is also deeply tied to purpose. When you have a clear sense of why you do what you do, every action carries weight. You are not just working, speaking, or striving. You are contributing. You are creating something that matters, and that sense of purpose gives you a reason to overcome fear, to rise after failure, to keep moving even when the path feels uncertain. Purpose anchors your confidence in something greater than ego. It transforms your ambition from self-centered to service-driven, and in that shift, you find a deeper strength, a confidence that is not about being seen, but about making a difference. Authenticity also invites vulnerability. Many people associate confidence with invulnerability, with never showing weakness or emotion. But the most confident individuals are often the most vulnerable. They are not afraid to say, "I don't know," or "I made a mistake," or "I'm still learning." Because their self-worth is not built on the illusion of perfection, it is grounded in truth. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is the doorway to genuine connection. When you are real with others, you give them permission to be real with you. And in those honest exchanges, trust is built. Confidence deepens, not the kind of confidence that comes from admiration, but the kind that comes from knowing you are living your truth fully and unapologetically. When you embrace authenticity, your confidence becomes effortless. You are no longer wasting energy pretending, pleasing, or proving. You are free, free to speak, to act, to live without constant self-censorship. This freedom is the essence of confidence. It allows you to walk into any room, any challenge, any opportunity with clarity and composure, not because you think you are better, but because you know you are enough. And when you carry that knowing with humility and presence, you become unshakable. In the end, self-confidence is not something you find. It is something you build. It is the result of countless moments where you chose to face discomfort, to honor your word, to challenge your thoughts, and to live in alignment with who you truly are. It grows through discipline, through presence, through authenticity, and through the courage to move forward even when fear stands in your way. You don't become confident by waiting for permission or perfection. You become confident by showing up for yourself, consistently, honestly, and wholeheartedly. And as you walk this path of inner strength, you begin to realize that true confidence is not about being fearless. It is about knowing that whatever comes, you will meet it, not with doubt, but with calm, with clarity, and with unwavering belief in who you are becoming.